Imagine, for a moment, two people. The first one has $10 million in the bank. Yet, he wakes up at 2 in the morning, soaked in sweat, glued to his phone screen, his heart racing because the market dropped by 1%. He does not sleep well. He barely sees his children, and his health is falling apart. Now imagine the second person. He has just enough to live comfortably, but he is the absolute master of his time. He sits down to read, enjoys his family, and does not allow a chart of red arrows to dictate his mood. Let me ask you, which of the two is truly rich? Today, social media and hustle culture bombard us with the idea that ambition means accumulating zeros in a bank account at all costs. But the Stoics, from the emperors of Rome to the slaves of Greece, discovered a secret that most people spend their entire lives without understanding. True wealth is not money itself, but the combination of peace of mind and autonomy. In this episode, we are going to explore 5 Stoic principles so that money becomes your slave and never your master. The first principle is invest in your autonomy, not your status. We are often told that if you do not want a luxury car, a giant house, or to fly first class, it is because you lack ambition. But Stoicism completely redefines that word. The greatest ambition you can have is not buying things to impress people you do not even like. The greatest ambition is to own your own time. Finance author Darius Foroux explains it perfectly. If you do not build assets that work for you, you are trapped in the modern maze of trading your life hours for money. Money has only one real value, and that is to buy your freedom. The freedom to say no to a boss you do not respect, the freedom to reject a job that destroys your health, or the freedom to be present when your family needs you. Do not invest to look rich. Invest to be free. This brings us to the second principle. Apply the dichotomy of control to your investments. The financial market is volatile by nature. The economy goes up, down, enters a recession, and goes back up. And this is where most people fail and lose their savings. They try to control the uncontrollable. They obsess over the news, over inflation, or over what will happen tomorrow on the stock market. Stoicism is based on a golden rule. Divide the world into 2 columns, what depends on you and what does not depend on you. You cannot control interest rates or global crises, or whether a stock drops 10% tomorrow. Therefore, worrying about it is a waste of energy. What you do control is your discipline, your savings rate, and your reaction to the drops. As Benjamin Graham, the great master of investors, used to say, individuals who cannot control their emotions are not suited to profit from the investment process. If the market bleeds and you panic, the market is not the problem. The problem is you. The third principle is one of the most powerful ideas in this philosophy. Amor fati, accept and learn from loss. Darius Foroux shares that in the 2008 crisis, after studying finance, he decided to buy shares of a major bank at $27. A year later, those shares were worth only $3. He had lost 60% of his money. He recalls feeling sick, full of guilt, and paralyzed by fear. What was his real mistake? It was not the loss of the money. It was letting that loss destroy his peace of mind. The Stoic practices amor fati, which means love of fate, accepting things exactly as they come, even the bad ones, and turning them into something constructive. In the game of money, loss is inevitable at some point. The Stoic investor does not run away when the market drops, nor do they complain like a victim. They understand that a market crash is simply the price of admission, a practical lesson. If you learn to see every financial loss as a test to build your character, you will have gained a psychological advantage that money cannot buy. The fourth principle reminds us to prioritize virtue over fortune. There is a myth that the Stoics hated wealth and wanted to live in misery. This is not true. Seneca, one of the most famous Stoic philosophers, was immensely wealthy. But he explained that money is what they called a preferred indifferent. meaning it is better to have money than not to have it, of course, but money must never define your value as a human being. Think of your life as a triangle: health, money, and love. The tragic mistake of our era is that people destroy their health and sacrifice their relationships to maximize the money corner, telling themselves that they will fix it later. The Stoic seeks balance. A bank account with 7 zeros is useless if your body is sick from stress, or if there is no one at home who loves you deeply. Your integrity, your tranquility, and your character are worth more than any asset traded on the stock exchange. Money is an excellent servant, but a tyrannical boss. And the fifth and final principle: be the scientist of your own life. The Stoics did not follow dogmas blindly. Every night, men like the Emperor Marcus Aurelius opened their journals to examine their actions, their mistakes, and their emotions. They were scientists of their own minds. Do not accept these words as an absolute truth. Test them. Run experiments in your daily life. How do you feel if you turn off your phone for 4 hours to be fully present with your loved ones? How does your financial perspective change if you practice memento mori and actively remind yourself that your time on this earth is limited? When you remember that you are going to die, the panic of losing a few dollars in an investment becomes ridiculously insignificant. To close, remember this: financial freedom is not a magical number in a banking app. It is not retiring at 30 to do nothing. Financial freedom is the ability to live with coherence, maintaining your calm and your sanity while the rest of the world goes crazy over money. As Seneca wrote 2,000 years ago, it is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, who is poor. Start today. Invest in your mind, master your emotions, and build a wealth that not only fills your pockets, but also gives you the peace that your soul needs. If this monologue brought you value, please consider subscribing and sharing it with someone it might help. We will listen to each other in the next episode.